Right now we have Mario, and we have Johnny, and then I'm on the call as well. So yeah, let me kind of like give you guys or give Mario an introduction to the call. So basically, he could get a feel of kind of what we're going to be doing and what this platform is for and things like that. So this is a weekly conference call that basically I'm calling up like the coolest people, the most inspirational people that I know that I feel have motivated, inspired me, and do continuous efforts to do inspirational things for other people. And so I like to kind of get an insider view of the consciousness behind like the method of your madnesses and stuff like that, and focused on specific topics. And we record this conference call so that way, you know, we could also reflect on a certain times of our lives and how we were, you know, going through things and what we were viewing, and for people to be able to have resources like inspirational resources like that insider viewing of things, especially for entrepreneurs, business professionals, 9-to-5ers, new college students, and just people that are looking into a more entrepreneur-based way of actually, you know, achieving their goals, you know, and a real progressive way of attacking that. So one of the reasons why I invited you to the call, Mario, today was to kind of showcase some of the things that inspire you to continue to go, like what's in your head, what creates, you know, some of those amazing moments for you, you know what I'm saying? And what I want to do with the audience, I want them to basically look at this call as kind of like an activation for their inner power, not like a one-time activation, more like a long-term activation, a platform that they could tap into, and always have a resource to kind of inspire them to chase their dreams and their goals. So us as some of the people that have been inspired by the Professional You Handbook and kind of rock and ProWorldLife, like reflecting that lifestyle, or people that I'm looking to interview and bring to this platform. So that's the kind of gist of things.
First of all, Mario, this is Johnny. I know, pleasure to meet you. We haven't met personally, but, you know, I'm looking forward to hear for your insight, what you got to offer.
Definitely, bro, definitely. Nice to meet you as well, my man.
So, yeah, so let's start by, I guess, Mario, I would want you to kind of like give people an introduction to who you are and kind of like a quick, nothing too lengthy, but like who are we talking to, and then what are you doing, and you know, I want to kind of focus on like your current project with ArtWars and things like that, but really like, you know, tell us who you are and what you got going on and how's your views of things and why you chose to join the call and stuff like that.
Definitely, and I guess I kind of want to start off the conversation by saying, you know, thank you so much for allowing me to, you know, just voice my energy on this platform. I think this is really conducive to, you know, just storing energy and making sure that the masses get a hold of it. I think that sometimes when you're inspired, sometimes you know, you're not able to bottle it up and, you know, send it off and ship it off. So again, bro, my name is Mario Cruz. My artist name is Phoenix LAX. I would like to say I'm first generation, you know, self-made philanthropist. I consider myself a neighborhood activist at the core value. What I do is I organize. Hello?
Yeah, you kind of broke up a little bit.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
All right. My project and I guess the initiative is ArtWars Los Angeles, and basically what that entails is what I do is I do pop-up art festivals around the 15 districts of Los Angeles, and I create art education and artistic growth platforms by producing multidisciplinary community art events. And I think one of the main key elements to that is finding each event and each sponsor are tailored uniquely, because each event has a different sponsor, has a different location around the city, and I give out museum tickets and scholarships and honors to artists that get chosen by the communities where I host these events.
That's great. That's great.
So Mario, what was your initiative to starting the whole program? Like, how did you start the whole thing? I know you say you're an artist, but you must have started from one point. So what we want to hear is, like, how did you start? What was your struggles, and where did you go from point A to point B?
Well, so I never mentioned I was an artist. I said I was a philanthropist and neighborhood activist. Go ahead.
Well, that's still kind of an artist. I mean, you have to be an artist to get to that point.
You're right. I think that one of the main things I kept seeing, my mom's been working at McDonald's for the past 20 years. My dad lost his citizenship to gang violence, and seeing the whole turmoil and the lifestyle that they were able to produce and what I was able to see and watch and actually be a part of wasn't my destiny. It wasn't what, I guess, at the core inside of my belief system, didn't match with where I needed to be. I started off, I guess, doing graffiti, then I did poetry. I traveled doing photography, and I think seeing all of the needs that I needed personally that weren't there, I just wanted to go, because honestly, I always wanted like a Picasso or like a Basquiat to come to my school or any program I was a part of statistically, and just like, hey, you can do this as well. Be an illustrator, a cartoonist, a voiceover, whatever it is that you might want. All you need to do is put the energy. So I feel like as a person, one of the most important things for myself and some of the artists that I'm able to meet at my events is just being able to be in contact with the right resources. So I think that's kind of the beginning of it. Now I just really, honestly, I was just looking for marketing mistakes that the city was doing. I found little loopholes where either city departments or organizations weren't really touching on due to the fact that maybe they might rarely be back on the streets or back on certain neighborhoods because now they have amazing offices in City Hall or fabulous, lofts where they conduct their business. So I think that as a graffiti writer, where I started most of my, I guess, philanthropic endeavors, I would say that has always kept me grounded to what's really necessary in these neighborhoods. And like I said, just access to information and who's really in charge here, who moves, this piece over there. And, not everybody has all that information, at their fingertips. So I think accessing that information and putting it out there by collaborating with different government entities is where I'm at now. I started back in September with the whole ArtWars Los Angeles initiative, and every event since, I've only had 3. I'm going on to my 4th one. My 4th one in August is actually a collaboration directly with the mayor's office. So that's where I'm at presently. Hopefully that answers some of the questions.
That actually answered pretty much everything.
Yeah. One thing I think you kind of mentioned that I think kind of stood out to me as being an entrepreneur myself, but you have a resourceful mind state. What kind of sculpted you to be that resourceful, and how did you kind of like stumble upon that style of going after your goals? Like, meaning like a person sitting there, like some people might not know where to start researching. Where did you kind of figure out how to start researching in those areas that you fell in love with?
Well, my biggest key, Valen, to the whole thing, what he said, finding the loopholes. Remember what I told you? Like, if you could find a loophole into something, then that's where you find the niche. And that's where you find the need that people don't normally go in for that. For me, I was just like, as soon as he said that, it was like, boom, that's a key.
Mm-hmm. And so, see, my thing is, Mario, like, so, like, you found the loopholes, but what got you to look for like information, like to be a research advocate, because some people just want to create their own plans sometimes and don't necessarily go and find the information that will help them go to a bigger level. But it seems to me like you jumped into the water with an idea and then just started researching and connecting dots. What made you spark like that style of going after your achievements?
Well, I think it all goes back to like what I said in the beginning, bro. I really coming from this lifestyle of watching my mother work, 40 plus hours at McDonald's for a little return in her investment, which her investment is her time. I figured out that at the end of the day, the most precious thing that one is able to acquire is time. Time is the only thing that separates the gods from a regular person. And on top, to piggyback on that as well, is that I've always, like I said, I kept my eye always on the street and, the post on it. And it goes back to my shoebox way of thinking, when I guess at a young age, I think we all go through that little phase where we're, trying to, push different little hustles. And I always balanced what I was expecting to win against how much risk I was putting myself into. And I think that every time anyone puts themselves in a situation to win and you put the energy into what you really, really want, what really, transpires through that is doing a lot of research. I think that doing your homework and just reading up on what you really love. I think that most of the people that want to go into something come into it wanting to be somebody or wanting to be like somebody or having certain features that other artists or philanthropists or successful Fortune 500 executives have. But honestly, I think that everybody has their own lane. Everybody can say, okay, this inspired me, but how are you going to go ahead and fuse it with what you do and take that? One of the major keys and some of the things that help me even now is that I try to go ahead and research things outside of my own medium. I'll give you a perfect example. If I want to go ahead and find ways to go ahead and distribute, I don't want to say power. I want to say legislative authority. I go ahead and I research something like the Waste Management Company and how do they send out their troops? How do they go ahead and disseminate what a driver and the person that actually moves the buckets does? And how do you go ahead and fuse them both so they can both collaboratively bring a product to the streets that's really helpful? So like I said, reaching out to other markets and other industries for information and research and then applying it to what you're doing.
I think that's an amazing dynamic. I sometimes find myself doing the same exact thing because there's a lot of similarities. It's just that we have different content. Sometimes, like for example,
we did the same thing today, Valen. Remember we went into
explain to Mario what we did and kind of like how that reflects what we did.
So Mario, today we went into a meeting where we're supposed to meet some people that were going to do, when I say the same type of business, it wouldn't even make sense saying the same type of business, but what I was trying to do was like, hey, somebody gave me an insight to something else, and I was like, all right, Valen, we're going to go in there, and it seemed kind of weird, like, I'm going to pick you up, we're going to go drive X amount of miles to faraway place, but once we got in there, we got an insight to something else that was a missing piece to something we needed. Once we got that piece, then we were able to gravitate and be like, all right, we know what works for them, but doesn't work for us, but we know what our competitors do, and we could use that to our advantage. Same thing with you. You're like, the same thing with you, Marty. You went in there and like, all right, the garbage man does this. You were trying to find information that you didn't have, but the only way to find that information is to actually go in there. And most people don't even go in there because they're too afraid to go in there and be like, oh, I'm not familiar with that, or I'm too scared to go in that, or I'm not even going to deal with that because that's not even my business.
Right, right. So would you, like me, I would suggest to any entrepreneur, like if you happen to be listening to this call now or in the future, go and study other industries. They have strategies that you could apply to your goals. Like there's things that you like that happen in other industries, and that's why you like those industries. Use some of those strategies and apply them to your business and stuff. I totally believe that for sure.
And that's what you did, Mario. You were like, all right, I don't know about this, but you know what? I'm going to find out about this. And you did exactly what you wanted to do. You had a goal, and you reached for it, and you didn't know where to go, but, you know, you said, all right, this person has this information, and it's not necessarily the type of business you're doing, but, hey, they have some type of information. But you were open to reaching out to that person. And most people won't even get to that point saying, hey, I'm going to reach out to this, because they're too scared, or they're going to be like, oh, I'm too cocky, or I'm too good for that.
Right. And that's amazing too. Like Mario, like you came from, like you said, like a diverse background of you know, triumph, you know, like going through obstacles. So I would think like the normal person in society going through some of those obstacles might not have that ambition to kind of do something straight out the blue, and that optimism is something that I think a lot of artists do kind of carry. You know, they feel like they could create something out of nothing. And being an artist like yourself, you know, you said you came from like the graffiti background, you know, photography, doing poetry, different things like that, having a creative expression. How has being a creative person applied a strength to your business tactics? Like, or do you find that a strength behind how you create your business strategies?
I think to answer, I mean, wow, that's actually a real complex question, bro. But to tell you the truth, I think that some of the mistakes that I see personally, and some of the artists that I meet when they come over and they try to sign up to be a part of, you know, the whole ArtWars vibe, is that sometimes some of these artists can mistake what they're comfortable with what they're really good at. Some artists might be really, really good, I want to say, oil painters, but they stick to what they're comfortable in. And I think that I've never wanted to be the person that says, okay, I'm comfortable here, and I'm going to stay put here. In my mind, I kind of see myself like a boxer. I think that, like I mentioned before, that I did graffiti. I didn't mention the part that I was published on the Los Angeles Times for graffiti, or that I came on La Opinión for photography, or my high school newspaper for poetry, and so on and so forth. But I think that every time I laid my hands on something or just an idea, I envisioned it as a boxer moving up in weight class.
I like that. So every idea and achievement was like a little milestone. That's cool. That's cool. Like I achieved that. Like, let me mark the flag and what's next. Almost like level up in Mario, right? And you're Mario too. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. I like that.
Lightweight to like all of a sudden going to heavyweight.
Yeah, right. Straight up, that's cool. So how would you, like, because I know that there's a lot of artists, like straight up, like kids out there that are just getting involved with graffiti and trying to creatively express themselves in some type of way. A lot of kids are choosing music now because it's so accessible. And I think graffiti art has a different platform, like with everybody screen printing and just the way that this culture, and specifically in Los Angeles, is kind of evolving to a new popular, like, do your own art type of wave. Do you feel that that this kind of what you're doing can be adopted in other states and other cultures, and how versatile is your idea to place this? Like, is it something that could be accepted everywhere?
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. And I mean, with the right research, bro, I can't tell you how many times that I found pieces in the most weirdest places, bro. And I think, you know, of information, and I think that history is scattered with clues, bro, of the future. Once you got to go out and dig for them. On top of that, I think to answer that question, bro, I think at the essence what anybody can provide, bro, is it's kind of meeting customer needs, bro. To tell you the truth.
So you actually studied these communities, and being from this community, did it give you an advantage for sure? But you went to Watts. You went to a couple different locations, and was there a difference in receptivity, or was there a same type of essence that you were kind of tapping into every time you landed in those communities?
Oh no, I think going into Watts definitely was one of those breaking points for me, where it was like I'm definitely finally starting to do what I really, you know, talk about, where it's like I mentioned before, that I go to different neighborhoods and different council districts so I could keep myself sharp and a different challenge. And, you know, Watts is one of those that still has that whole, you know, I don't want to say, I kind of want to say they just get so much bad press. That,
yeah, they are misrepresented in the media for sure.
Yeah,
they're the misfits.
You know, when I went there, I spent time at Jordan Downs, the Nickerson Gardens, what's the Imperial Courts.
Like shaking hands with the people in the communities.
You know, there were so many scary, bro, and you know, more than.
I think it's more than the community, Valen. When he's trying to say is like you're really in the hood.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's like more than you're not just dealing with the government. Now you're dealing with the people in the community, which is like a whole different environment. So what he was trying to say is like, hey, this is not like shaking hands with Ambassador X amount. Now you're shaking the guy that has a gun.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, again, that's the biggest marketing mistake for politics. But not only that, I think that, man, through the experience, like I said, I had so many scary experiences. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. Hello?
Yeah. So many scary experiences, not only with the neighborhood and politics that are there, but just some of these youngsters that really are diving into some of these gangs that, you know, have beef even before they were born.
Wow.
One of the things that I encountered, and, you know, I'll share this story with you. I was over at the Nickerson Gardens, and you know, I was going through all the back alleys of all the projects, and like I said, I go and I do this because at this point there isn't anything, you know, that the streets hasn't took from me that, you know, they can't take from me anymore. And if they can see somebody out there on the front lines promoting and also shaking hands with the top politicians, even better, because then they'll say like, damn, you know, that ugly ass brown dude is up there too, so maybe I can do it as well.
Right.
So, I was out there, man, and there was these, like, I was going through the back alleys, and I seen like a group of, like, I want to say 6, like, just black cut up dudes, bro. I want to say maybe like 6'2", just no t-shirts on, 6-pack, just tatted face, everything, bro.
Wow.
You know, just what some people would call a nightmare. But, you know, like I said, bro, I announced myself, and I let it be known that I was there. And once I pulled up, I got off my bike, because I ride a beach cruiser bike everywhere I go in the city. And I just took out a sticker. I don't print flyers, I print stickers, and I gave it to all 4 of them. And then the main one that was in the center, I told him, like, hey, bro, I'm having this community art event. Bring your people out. You know, it's in your home court. It's around the corner, and it's completely free. I give out art scholarships and museum tickets. He looked at it. He looked at the address. He looked at me and just flipped it in my face. I must have watched that sticker in slow motion just fiddle away in the air and land by the front of my beach cruiser tire, bro. So it was either sink or swim at that moment. I dropped my bike down. I went down. I grabbed the sticker, and as I was coming back up, I told him, sorry to waste your time, bro. And as I'm turning away, this guy puts his hand on my chest and like just pats it like a big thump, like. And he says, I respect you, homeboy. Any lesser man would have just walked away. I'll send some of my boys and my nephews that are not involved with this life.
Wow. That's an impactful story. That's like standing, like if wow, like that's almost like
that was
man.
That was you getting shot. Remember you were talking about I'm gonna get shot and I'm yelling. Next thing you get that voice and like shut up.
Yeah, exactly, man. And wow, Mario, that's amazing. That's staring. Some people might look at that as an obstacle or something that could stop them, and you saw that as an opportunity, as a way to convert somebody's like way of thinking, like plant a seed. You know what I'm saying? And you didn't take it personally, but you didn't disrespect yourself by like jumping into fear. And that has to be from experience. Going through a lot of those type of situations and actually having a true purpose for being everywhere you are, and having a understanding that things could come from left, but you have to be in purpose, and you had an initiative, and that's amazing because he even acknowledged you on a manly level. Like that's a lot of things, and sometimes people don't even take the time out to give someone a pat on the back in that level, man, and that's why a community activist.
Not even that, you will run from there.
Right.
Most people, as soon as they get in there, they'll run.
Yeah, but a community activist got you got patted on the back. That's like a rites of passage. That's a notch on your stripes. That's amazing. And that kind of leads to like a question like, how do you look at obstacles or things that people, another person might see as an obstacle? How do you view those things as blessings, and how do you convert the obstacle into the blessing?
Obstacle into a blessing. Well, I think to start that question off, the real truth, bro, is that, blessings are everywhere. I think that sometimes we're just so caught up in, we live in the 21st century, bro, and I mean, I'm a millennial, and it's just like our phone is like our limb. One of our limbs, bro. So we're consistently bombarded with either social media, personal life. Anybody can reach you at any excuse me for the cussing, at any given point of your life. Even when you're asleep, somebody can wake you up. So I think that you shouldn't go into any scenario unless you're ready to make a decision right then and there. If you're the boss and if you control your hemisphere, you need to be able to make that decision then and there, which means you need to be putting yourself in the front line if you're really about what you preach and you speak about and about your brand. I think that it's really instrumental for, like I said, people like myself, a first-generation American and self-made philanthropist, to really be out there in the front lines and be prepared to make big decisions when, at a drop of a dime.
That's dope. I like that. That's cool. So let me ask you this. I presented you you were like actually literally the first person that bought the Professional You Handbook, right?
Yeah.
And at that time you were at the beginning stages of ArtWars, like it was infantile, right?
Yeah.
How did that, like when I presented that to you, and you saw a project kind of presented like, yo, I want to inspire the world, I want to change the world. You kind of heard my vision, right?
Yeah.
How did that reflect on what you were doing? Enough to be able to say, you know what, I want to support what you're doing with this message.
First of all, bro, I think that I'm one of those dudes that I'm really stingy with my time. I think that I'm really, really I think even when we had the prior conversation of coming on this line, I told you that Wednesdays is, I try to do that little family time and take some time for my girl. But I just felt that we were on the same conscious level first, and second, just like my initiative is going to aid many kids, poor kids and, minority children. I feel like that if that piece of literature that you have put together gets in the right hands, it could further influence somebody's ideas and train of thought.
That's amazing. That's much respect, yo. Like that's one of the reasons why I created ProWorldLife is basically like people just like you that have initiatives and actually have a project that they're passionate about and dedicating their whole life to make happen with a certain moral code, you know what I'm saying, to inspire the next person is really the reason why I created ProWorldLife. And to have this conference call and have you express that is exactly why, I invited you on the call is because, your efforts in your life at chasing your goals is something that inspires me, from like seeing you, go from, when we met to like where you are now. It's something that I could actually look at as amazing entertainment and that's inspirational. That's in my real life. Like, oh my God, I could touch this guy. You know what I'm saying? And he's young and it's inspired. And, for me, like I was like, you know what? I want to provide this guy with whatever resources that I have. Like, since I might be a couple years older, and a different generation, I just want to shovel this into his pot, you know what I'm saying, and run with it. Like, add gasoline to your tank, because I truly believe that when you put your mind to anything, you go after it and you exceed your expectations, and it's being consistent. So, like, with this call, like, this is just the beginning, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just locked the deal with the mayors, or all these things. Like, this is the beginning, the first year of you in business as an entrepreneur, and it's wild to see the growth, and for me to have the platform to be able to kind of document your story and have other people able to kind of tap into that energy is going to be amazing, like for the future people that hear this call, tap into the recording, they're going to hear someone that really wants to change the world, and is going after it and is achieving steps that, you could do when you put your mind to it, and you don't expressing that you don't have to be fearful of life, like when you have a real grounded seat in your purpose and you believe in your process and everything, and you're trustworthy, then you're able to kind of navigate, through these territories and experience some amazing things. And I think that that's exactly what you're doing, so pat on the back, to you, it's much congratulations to your growth, and it's amazing to see,
Definitely, bro. Definitely. I think that one can learn a lot, bro, just by sitting in one place and just, absorbing the sun's rays. And I think that a lot of people can talk a big game and, with little to no, action. But, like I said, my work is serious, bro, but I really don't take myself that serious. I like to, sometimes I reference myself when people ask me, like, oh, so, what kind of character do you usually have, or what would be your character? And, man, this is going to seem like a little curveball, but, I always like to throw this one in there just, if anybody's listening out there. I always reference myself to Dennis Rodman, when it comes down to when you're on the court, it's showtime, baby, and when you're off the court, it's your personal life. You do what you want. But once it's that time again, once that hour hits, lace up and get ready to battle. Everybody, it's going to be a hard road all the way up there. And as long as you're playing what you're supposed to be doing, if you're a part of a team or if you're running the show by yourself, just, stick to your guns and, be about what you talk about.
I love it.
It's funny you said Dennis Rodman. He had the most duplicate face that you could think about. Most people see him like, oh, he's just being a character. But when it comes to, like, real life, he's just business-wise.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can't take him serious because you're like, oh, he's just weird about it. But most people that are weird, they're the actual business people. They're doing the best things in life.
Yeah. And Dennis Rodman, like, you know, like that whole character, for you to adopt that personality, that's like, you know, that's a cool thing to do, because, you know, that's a flamboyant, boisterous conduct, you know, and how do you adopt that into your practice? You know what I'm saying? Like how is that, like, you're swagged out, you're totally flat, you know, like.
See, that's what I was thinking about right now. I was like, not many people could, like, say I'm Dennis Rodman. Like,
yeah, man.
Most people can even take him serious, but in actuality, most people can take other people serious. They're in the same character. It's like, if I'm Dennis Rodman, you're like, oh, you're doing this, you're doing that, you dress like this, you do that. It's like being fucking, I can't even think of the character, but it's like, I can't take you. Like, I cannot take you seriously doing some fucking serious shit.
Yeah, that's real. So, all right, so let me break this up and kind of like read some stuff real quick. I kind of have written down. I wanted to address the topic of opportunities. Okay, so what I did was I looked up the definition of opportunity and kind of looked at two different variations of that word, and I compared them and kind of like a versus, one versus the other. And the two words were basically opportunism versus opportune, the noun versus the adjective. So one is being opportunistic versus being aware of opportunities. So opportunism is basically living without principles, no morals, you know, you're just an opportunist, you know, like you're just always looking for the next come up by any means. Creators of like walls around things, they just want to put things into a box, you know. They're rule breakers, but they're the rule creators at the same time, you know. That's opportunism.
You know what the animal creator for that is, Alan?
Who?
A raccoon. Look up raccoon, is going to say opportunistic.
Okay. So we're going to call those the raccoons. Like, so we're going to call those, like, when it comes down to marketing terms, we're going to call those the raccoons. So, you know, when you hear us say, yo, that's a raccoon over there, you know, like, you would know exactly what we're going to be talking about, all right?
Honestly, that's what they are. They wait for the right timing, and they'll get that shit done.
Okay. All right.
It's
so
not
now
about getting the right thing done, but they're going to get the right food, what they need, at the right timing. So whatever you left behind, they're going to go in there and be like, all right.
But it's by any means, no morals, you know. So now let me talk about opportune. Now, opportune is the adjective. Like, those people are subtle. Things fall into place. They're the people that are just lucky. Like, they know how to kind of receive. Instead of being a raccoon, you know, and going after that stuff and being like real precise with their timing and kind of taking advantage of someone's loopholes or weaknesses, they'll sit there and let the things fall into place, but they're aware enough to know what things are falling into place and what moves to make at the time. Like, they've provided an essence, and basically that experience allows them to see the essence in other areas, so they know kind of how to connect the dots in their own world because they know what's true to them. Like, they're really aware of opportunities because they're kind of grounded in themselves. You know, in result, you know when that essence is around and how to receive it. It's like basically like the followers of the signs. You get what I'm saying? So what I was thinking is basically opportunity is a part of life. Like, it is life. Life is the opportunity. You get what I'm saying? It's not just like, let's look for opportunities. No, life is the opportunity. You get what I'm saying? And to do what, you may ask, but it's like, take a second to realize what you're doing at this very moment. The reason why you're on this call, you know, like where you are physically, like how does it feel? Like, that is the feeling of opportunity. You understand what I'm saying? Every inch of that feeling is pure opportunity. But what opportunity do you have? Every opportunity in existence. You know, like, look around you and look at them. Like, when you look at something, it gives you a response, you know, an action that you could correlate to that, and that's the opportunity. You get what I'm saying? But certain people, like entrepreneurs, what I feel personally, I only can speak from my personal experience, is that I have a vision in my mind that sticks out like a sore thumb, that I can't look at anything in my world, I can't look at anything around me without visualizing this goal and how it relates to this goal. You understand what I'm saying? And I think that that mind state is something like a tunnel vision, but being open-minded enough to have the skills to connect the dots, like saying, you know what, this cup relates to my business because I could print cups. You know, how did they print this? You get what I'm saying? Like, I look at everything and how it relates to my long-term goal of being able to spread a specific message and get a certain action across, you know. So how would you guys, you know, say you view opportunities? You get what I'm saying? Like really, like, how do you view the opportunities? How do you connect the dots? And how does your vision connect? How does your internal mental vision of your product, you know, and I'm going to start with you, Mario. How does your internal vision connect in your physical world?
How does could you?
Because you have a vision, like you have a mental vision of your goal, like of your what you're going to be achieving, you know. And how does that? Because it's not like, for example, you could be thinking 5 years down the line, or you could be thinking like 20 years, like after I achieve this goal, you know, the world is going to be looking like this. But how does now and the things around you, how do you relate those things towards that goal? How do those signs pop out for you?
Well, honestly, just I think being mindful really helps me, bro. I'm really having trouble with this question, bro.
So
I'm going to help you out. I can look around my room right now. One of my youngest son drew a picture, and then I asked him, what does that picture show? He's like, oh, that's a king. Now I look at it, I'm like, that reflects what I'm trying to shoot for.
Exactly. Like, how do things around you, how do the things physically around you?
So whatever I saw there, then I tied down to something else. Like, oh, I'm trying to move out of this place, so how does moving out of this place get me to another point? And I was like, all right, this ties down to this thing. And then next thing you know, I'm thinking like, all right, that makes sense. I moved this thing over here, so whatever I move over here is leading me to the next step.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how do you pick those next steps? Like, you know, like you got this crazy vision, you know what I'm saying? And it's, you know, it's still building, you know, and how does the things around you relate to that, you know?
Okay. So to tell you the truth, in my mind, usually my ideas are as real as the water bottle in front of my face, and I don't put them in two different categories. I put them in the same, only because in my mind it's really apparent that my ideas are reality. So I think about it like this. This water bottle contains water, and I'm going to drink it, right? So I drink it. So me opening the water bottle and drinking this water is as real as seeing this table in front of me. So they're one and the same. Does that kind of answer the question? I feel like I don't put different categories.
That's being more realist.
Right. So you're a realist. So you're realistic. So did your goal and your dream that you're creating, it popped out of realistic things that you saw around, like, oh, I could put this, connect this with this and this and this, and then build something cool. You know, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I just never let emotions cloud my judgment.
That's cool. You know, I see, like, I've had conversations with people, and they have, like, some certain people might have goals, and like, yo, you'd be like, yo, that's wild. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you going to get there? You don't even have the technology to create what you're talking about. Like, you're dreaming right now. You get what I'm saying? Like, you're not being realistic, you know, and how, like, I think that with being realistic, it's a gift, you know, like, some people are dreamers and they think that, okay, it's going to fall out of nowhere and they're lucky, they're going to turn a corner and it's going to be pixie dust. You get what I'm saying?
Can I throw a curveball at you, Valen?
Go ahead.
All right, so what was it, King David? And I'm not trying to go church or anything because I'm not like a church type of person. What was it, King David, right?
I guess the Bible, right?
The Bible.
In the Bible, yeah.
In the Bible. This guy, they gave him prophecy saying, hey, you're going to be king. And this guy's like, a king? And like, I'm not going to be a king. I'm freaking David. I'm this person or whatever. But he didn't take it realistically because he felt like he couldn't be that person. He couldn't visualize. He couldn't see himself being bigger than he was. So every circumstance that made him like, hey, you're going to go here, you're going to do this, all the prophecies told him that he was going to be big. But he himself couldn't see at first. But once he started realizing, like, hey, I'm actually going to be that person, all the things he was doing, even as small as they seemed, started leading him to be that big person. And then one thing led to another, to next thing you know, you are King David.
That's cool. So, young Pharaoh Mario, did that water bottle and that table, is that leading you towards those steps? Is it kind of like like, hey, I'm just on the ride. I know where I'm rolling, right?
Well, that's what we're trying to find. It's like, is that where you're trying to be realistically? Is that where you're heading? Or realistically, you're heading to the next level?
That's a truth.
It's always a funny question to me because I think that I'm one of those persons that. Give me a second. Let me see. Sorry about that.
You kind of broke up a little bit. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
I think that when somebody honestly becomes the most vulnerable that one can be is when you really start gaining insight on the world and those people around you. Because a simple idea can transform into anything. Right in front of me right now, and not to flex or nothing like that, but
go ahead, flex.
Yeah, I was gonna say do that because I actually enjoy that.
People want to hear that. You know what I mean?
That brings us energy.
Yeah, people want to hear that. When we think back on this call, I want to hear Mario flexing.
So I signed this. I had this past my last event, ArtWars 3 with Watts. I was able to put myself in one of the most vulnerable states known to man. I think not only because I think that I was out there in my eyes a foreign land, because Watts, I never venture out that far. I'm never out there. I really have no friends over there, but I knew that I had a mission. I had something to do, and I accomplished it, and I was able to get big names attached to my organization. The reason why I'm saying that is because in front of me, I just got a $2,000 check, just like a gratitude check that's going to go ahead and help me align all of the paperwork to become a nonprofit. And I think that, and this might not sound like the funnest information to share, but when it comes down to paying $987 for some simple paperwork that it costs more to just, write on it than just look over it and stamp it and approve it. As an entrepreneur, you got to be, emotionally and fiscally disciplined. So, I mean, it's one of those points where it's just like, I got, about $8,000 for the ArtWars event, and on top of that, we're getting another lump sum potential for an idea, just for an idea.
That's so cool.
You know, so it's just like, man, anything is possible. Write it down, draft it out, show it to a few of your friends, and I guess flex with your idea, man.
Yeah, I like that. Flex with your idea. That's the quote of the night. Flex with your idea. So if you're out there listening and you got this idea, because I know you've been listening the whole time, and you're sitting there like, these guys are crazy. Like, how do they get these ideas? They must have, a team of people that are behind them. But no, this is a young entrepreneur, mid-20s that had a history and wild adversity, and triumph. And this man said, I had an idea one day, I'm going to draw it on paper. And I'm going to elaborate on that picture that I'm drawing. And then I'm going to keep on connecting dots. And I'm going to invite people to see my idea. And now this man is a fully funded, nonprofit that has a relationship with the actual, city. This is a mayor. We're talking about, some nice stuff out there, guys. So, like, if you got an idea, I want you guys to write them down. Like, get a notebook, a 5-star notebook, and just write your wildest ideas down. And then every now and then when you kind of like thinking of random weird stuff, go look in that book and kind of replace that weird stuff with those ideas that I think are crazier than the weird stuff. But are you going to be crazy for not doing your idea? You know what I mean? Or are you going to be crazy for doing your idea and putting everybody else that doesn't believe you to shame? And it's
only... You know what the good part is, Valen? People don't understand normal ideas, and the people that do, they're accepting those ideas. Because when he was talking, I was like, man, that is dope, that is dope. But if you were to share this information with, like, the typical normal people, they would be like, that's stupid. He's not going to do that. He's from the hood. He's going to be scared. He's going to get shot.
Right. Totally.
But all his ideas, what we're doing, we're not testing them. We're not pushing them. We're just, like, enjoying his, like, paradigm shift.
Yeah,
that is dope. That is like the thing.
And this just happened, this just happened in the last, I would say, a year, in a year of transition, right? Like Mario, it's been a year, right?
It'll be a year in September.
Well, see, wow, this is 6 months. Let's say 6 to 10 months. This young entrepreneur, an artist that's a traveled artist, a published artist, decided, I'm going to come up with this idea for other artists to do cool stuff too. Wow.
How much more do you want, that wowed me.
And did you start with a budget, Mario? Mario, did you start with a budget?
No.
So you started this idea with no budget, no financial backing behind your idea. You did, right?
Remember what I told you, Valen? Once you have a freaking set goal, it doesn't matter what you start with.
Wow, Mario.
Once you're
isn't that amazing? To think about, listen to the story, Mario. It dropped out the sky and you caught it and you manifested it and you're on a plateau, man, that you're never gonna return back to the old Mario.
Yeah, man. So let me go ahead and let me get this off my chest, man. And so there's a certain city agency, right? They threw a number at me, something like $50K a year, to go ahead and hand over, the rights to ArtWars.
No. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So, it's a little gossip, but I think that it's appropriate at this point because if you're listening and when you get this a bit of information into your ear, I think it'll be something you keep with you. So there was this, set amount of money thrown my way, and something like let us have ArtWars. And then you'll become the executive director for it, blah, blah, blah. And when I read the fine print, it said that only after the 5th event, when they go ahead and dissect the whole, platform and actually really understand it, that they would give it back and I would run it the way that they would put it back together. So I think that it's really important for you to go ahead and always set a limit to how much of people or how much of certain negotiations you're able to take per day or per transaction. And I think that at that time I was feeling really disrespected, because I think that finally somebody from the neighborhood, from the community, from the area that's actually providing this service comes up and brings something really valuable that can essentially change the whole world of amateur art. And they wanted to go ahead and replace it with, top Ivy League students and grads from all over the world to come in and go into these neighborhoods and go ahead and work on projects that have nothing to do with not only their background, but, their whole, I guess, heritage. And I think that once I stood my ground and I said, you know what, this is not happening, I feel disrespected, I'm going to walk out, is when they said, whoa, no, we're going to go ahead and, put this lump sum aside. We'll go ahead and, disregard what we just said. We're going to go ahead and put this your way because, we want to keep working with you. So I think that as we grow older, sometimes we forget to ask questions and ask, why not me? So I think that that's something that some of these entrepreneurs and just artists, organizations, philanthropists, or just people starting with an idea should always keep in mind, why not me? So
actually relate to you. And I was telling Valen, it's okay to say no to some people, and it's going to take that ego to remove it from there. Because then you're thinking about it, like, oh, why did I say no to those people? And it took me so long to get the prestige. Next thing you know, I'm having to say no. Remember, Valen, I was telling you, I was like, hey, I'm having to, reduce my cost. I'm having to tell some people no. But at the same time, you're removing that, and it's giving you a higher privilege. It seems like you're losing, but you're winning. Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening.
So you actually did the biggest.
I feel it's like discernment too. Once us being entrepreneurs, we've been. We're solution oriented, so we're always trying to solve some issues, and we're giving more just to be able to kind of get past sometimes. We overexert ourselves, overextend ourselves, and I think that developing business, like coming from a straight artist world, and then having to kind of focus on business, then kind of testing your business, and then getting to a level where, you know what, I've done good business. I'm confident enough to say no. You get what I'm saying? And then if you're a up and comer, like are you a college graduate, Mario?
No.
Okay. Not even a college graduate. He's sitting there in this office, and they're throwing money at this man, trying to absorb him. If he looked in the mirror and saw his face, he would probably be like, what? They're throwing money at me? Wow, I must be worth it. I must be dope. I'm super validated. Of course I'm going to say no, because obviously they see something that is beyond what they could do, so they're trying to bait me in. This is just a carrot. I'm not going to throw away my integrity, something that I was blessed to be able to create. It's going to grow no matter what, because your track record is proving it. And if you're in these offices and they're throwing that around, it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, And having
what I was trying to say, Valen, was like, that's what they bait you on, because they're going to be like, hey, you're not a college graduate, you're not this, and that's what they're going to try to use against you.
Right.
So they're going to bait you with it. They're going to bait you saying, hey, you know what, this is what you need, this is what we can offer, and that's what you're going to take.
Right. So anybody out there that's listening, don't take the bait, because they're throwing it at you because they love what you got. And if they try to discredit your genius, geniuses might not have to go to school because they already know what's in the school, and they do research on their own that develops better things than the schools have. So entrepreneurs, just keep at it, really, really do research. This is proof that research in your field and other fields and other industries matters, and things happen. This is in the course of 10 months of idea to where we are today. 3 events in mayor's partnership and growing bigger. So, that's something I think that a lot of us should, really take to note and really aspire to be able to, practice that type of strategy and those ethics. I think you expressed a lot of key amazing things and strategies and conscious decision-making skills that a lot of people need to, involve themselves with practicing. So I appreciate your transparency and your expressing those stories, and those are priceless things. It's amazing, man. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mario. That's going to actually inspire a lot of people.
Yeah, man. So, is there any final things or any questions or anything that you have, Mario, or any kind of statements that you want to kind of give to the public, or any final questions that you have, Johnny?
No, I'm actually gratified with what he had to say. He actually brought down a lot of points that I was actually trying to look into. Without even asking, he just spread it out. He made it seem normal, and he even explained where he came from and where he's going to, especially saying, my mom worked at McDonald's. A lot of people could relate to that because a lot of people came from that.
And they're in that position right now.
And they're stuck in that position. And they feel in that
stuck.
rut.
They feel stuck, but this type of story and those strategies will get you out of that rut if you feel stuck right now.
Well, that's the way you got the whole book, right?
Yeah, man, this is amazing. I love it. So, quick question, Johnny. You were on the last call, and today we had Mario featured on this call. What type of people, both of you guys actually, what type of people would you want to invite to this type of platform to share their story in this type of way?
Well, we already got 2 different type of people, Valen. Even though Mario says he's not an artist, Mario, you're an artist. You brought art to something that's never been around, especially going into the hood, saying, hey, with people holding guns, they're not going to be like, hey, what the fuck is that? They're going to be like, what is that? That is art. What you did, you brought art and you manipulated to, cater to something else that wasn't there. And you gave something to a community that they didn't have. So that type of job is awesome. As far as what I could bring in, we already brought art. Let's do movies, visual.
Right.
So I think we need some visual now. We already got the art side, which is fine, but we need visual.
Yeah, we need the full video production team around the whole event.
Yeah. To captivate whatever we're doing now. Cause we're already talking about it, but we might as well film it.
Yeah, and keep it really super dynamic, like a full production team. So I think we have to reach out now to a full, there's nonprofits out there. I know, Johnny, you had a partner that does video production, and he does a nonprofit. Yeah, so I think
already talked to him.
Yeah, so I think that, that's the next way to go, create the reality series or behind the scenes aspect of the whole platform for these artists. They're not just, you're not just developing them, you're actually launching their careers into a space where you're going to be like they said, the philanthropist, man, and changing people's lives, creating a whole different dynamic of the art war.
Because it's simple to talk about it, man. It's simple for me to talk about it, but a lot of people want to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very, very true.
And, the next step is hey, nobody knows about him being a philanthropist.
Right.
Nobody does. If nobody sees it, they're going to be like, all right,
Yeah, like Mario, how much did
if you would have not told me about it, I would have not known about it. But
right,
now,
yo, Mario. So how much,
publish,
like the little videos that we did, throughout the beginning, how much did that help you in the growth process of your event?
I think for the line of work that I do, bro, I will never, my body will be wrapped in gold and in a tombstone full of, copper and all of that before I ever hear all of the thank yous I deserve. So I think they serve more as a reflection of where I'm going and where I've been.
That's cool. That's great. Historical. Yeah. So what would you like? You're talking to the public, and this is a timeless question, because this is going to be accessible for the rest of our life. God permit, Mother Nature permit, right? What would you want to finalize this call with? Talk to your future self, and give a good timeless comment to yourself, something that you can look back at and listen to.
This question's for me or for Johnny?
For you, Mario.
That's for you.
All right. Well, I kind of want to, plug three. I actually have 3 last statements I kind of want to give out if that's not too much.
That's fine. Let's go ahead. Feel free. It's your platform.
Perfect.
So I guess first I want to hit on the whole topic. I think I came off a little strong saying I wasn't an artist, but just to clarify it, I think a lot of these new artists in the game and people that want to go ahead and start something cool, they want to be in front of the camera, they want to be dancing around, and in a way kind of like, I mean, I love Diddy's music, but doing a little Diddy dancing in the back and getting some of that light. Like, I want to show some of these artists that there is a level after an artist, and now I don't consider I will forever be an artist, but I consider myself now an executive. And I think that aspect of the game, the whole big homie game, like the Chuck D, the Gang Starr, the Jermaine Dupri, kind of like the Birdmans, the people that make the decisions, basically. There's a level after being an artist, and some of these people might not be the best people in charge, but just know that there's always one step above anything you're doing, not just an artist. There's always, with the right discipline, you can always keep, stepping your game up. Secondly, I kind of want to touch on the word philanthropy, and I think that in my line of work, I'm providing a human service, a basic necessity, which is art. So, and here's where the game comes in. I want to go ahead and clarify that, because instead of having shareholders, I don't have shareholders. What I basically do is, I work on furthering the future of generations to come, and generations that will benefit from the platforms that I create, and go ahead and share that with their family, and their family will see it as normal as going to the movies and going to the park, where we're going to go to an ArtWars event and see who's, the amateur artist of the time right now. Lastly, I wanted to do kind of like a shameless promotion, self-promotion. Kind of wanted to go and just talk a little bit about my next event, the Forum. So with that being said, just a little background on ArtWars. We host 3 events a year. 2 of these events are festivals, and one of them is a forum. A lot of the people that come to my event are caseworkers, neighborhood council, outreach people, community development organizations, and the other 50% are just artists, vendors, you name it. So I kind of wanted to go ahead and not divide it, but answer some of these questions that some of these artists keep asking me. What's your magic trick? How do you do it? So with that being said, I've dedicated one of my 3 events that I host each year to invite some of the top executives that I have came across and put them up in the forefront. Right now, I don't want to share too much of who's going to be on the panel, but I'll give you the most, in my eyes, in the art world, one of the most important people that's going to be on my panel. Her name is Felicia Filer. She's the director of public arts for the Department of Cultural Affairs. Anything that has to do with public art around the city of Los Angeles, that proposal comes to her desk. And, you don't see people like that outside of an email or outside of TV next to the mayor. So I want to go ahead and just bring them to the forefront. Some of what it is, and it's just, putting a face to the information that's already on the website. And I feel that as artists, we get intimidated really quick. As executives, people say, oh, it's too much of a write-up. Maybe my organization is not worth it. So it's 110 people max. It's going to be at City Hall. It's the highest floor you can go to is on the Tom Bradley Tower, the 27th floor, August 12th. 11 to 2 p.m. I was just in a meeting with the general manager of Homeboy Industries, and just looking at some quick cookies, some tea, some coffee. So I'll have some of that. And we'll have a quick presentation, an hour presentation of ArtWars. The panel will be an hour and a half. And another half hour to mingle, network a little bit, get some coffee, look at the whole 360 view of Los Angeles from their sky deck. And it's completely free. I'm going to have free parking as well. You can park where all the cops park downstairs. Come look at where all the big decisions are being placed and made. And, again, it's completely free. It's for you, the people, if you're listening to this. And if you get to this on time, man, come say hi. One of the cool things, I'm going to break this news, not that I guess it is important for the art world. Usually I hire a host to host my events, but this time I will be the moderator. All of my panelists suggested that since I'm the one with these personal connections, it wouldn't be as organic if I hired somebody and kind of ran them through our personal connections with some of these people. So I'll be moderating for the first time. I'm going to go out and get me a fancy suit and be up there. I'm going to be on the podium where the mayor gives out some of his speeches, and I'll have somebody from the mayor's office as well repping. Yeah, man. So definitely going to be my first time moderating, my first time having an event in City Hall. I'm very much so, afraid, but I'm not going to let that, hold me back. There's always going to be fear. But, man, like I said, detach your emotions, leave your emotions in a drawer, and keep moving forward.
You know what I think?
Can I give you a feedback?
Wait, hold on 1 second. I think your suit is going to shake off all that anxiety. Your suit's going to do all the work for you. Go ahead, Johnny.
All right. When I told you were an artist, I wasn't insulting you. The only reason why I'm saying that, my mentor, she used to always tell me, oh, I'm an artist. I'm like, well, you're telling me you're a producer. I'm like, how are you telling me you're a producer and you're an artist? Confusing, right? Next thing you know, she was an entrepreneur. Next thing you know, she was a CEO. I'm like, well, you originally told me you were an artist. It takes an art to create all of that.
Yeah, it is an art to create that. You're right.
So when I called you an artist, I wasn't trying to downplay you. I was calling you are taking something and creating art and making something.
Now you're doing it with people.
Exactly. So you took something, created. I'm not calling you an artist because, you're just an artist, you're drawing something. Like, it takes an artist to be a CEO. It takes an artist to be an owner. It takes an artist to be something. And that's what I couldn't even capture in the beginning because she was like, well, I'm an artist. I'm like, you're an artist, but you're telling me you're a producer. But then next thing you know, you're an owner of the biggest restaurant in Singapore. Next thing you know, you're a CEO. I'm like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so she's a life is an art, yeah.
Yeah, so what I was trying to tell you is not that I'm trying to downplay you, but you're still an artist at heart. Because you're creating things that most people cannot create.
That's crazy.
And it's true. Most people can't say, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and wear a suit. Valen, what did you tell me? If I wear a suit right now, I'm going to intimidate those people.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yo,
so
Mario, I can't wait to go to your event and wear my suit.
That's what I'm thinking right now. I'm like, you can't tell people so much, and then people can't even understand your title because they're gonna be like, they're not gonna understand it. Like,
yeah. Like I think like right now your reputation, I think it exceeds all the titles that you try to put on yourself.
So the basic thing that I was calling you, you're still an artist. You created so many things that people want to hear about it.
That's huge.
So it's not like me saying, hey, you're an artist, like you're at the bottom of the whatever you want to call it. It's just like, hey, you're an artist and you created so many things that people want. You went into a neighborhood that people were scared of. You could probably put another gangster there and he would be more scared than you are.
That's amazing.
He probably would. He's probably going to get shot before you would have got shot. You went in there, stood up to somebody that you couldn't even stand up. You were like, oh, man, I've never been here.
Yeah.
But
that's
you created, that's the art. Why do you think they call it the art of war?
Wow. That's cool.
It's an art. It's an art to do something that you're not capable of doing on a typical basis.
I like that.
So that's what makes you an artist. Like, I wasn't calling you an artist because, like, oh, you're at the bottom of this, whatever you want to call it. It's like, dude, you're an artist. And that's what my friend used to call herself. She's like, well, I'm an artist. I'm like, you're an artist, but you're telling me you're a producer. It's like, doesn't make sense.
You're really an artist, yeah. That's wild. That's dope. I like that statement, Johnny. I'm glad you kind of, like, revisited that and clarified it. Like, Mario, how do you feel about being called or declaring yourself an artist in that type of fashion? Like, you practice an art, you're a master of an art,
No, I mean, yeah, bro. I mean, none taken. I just wanted to clarify the whole process of evolving from an artist to an executive. And, some of these labels that are put out there is just like, at the end of the day, they're just labels. But I just want to go ahead and, like, you never stop growing, basically. And for the young person that is listening to this and it's just like, fuck, I've been an artist for 10 years and, I'm still here. It's just like, no. So then stop thinking like an artist and think like an executive then. Right.
So do you feel that, like, isn't that like the professional you? Like, that's you for real. Like, that's you seriously, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, instead of like you for fake. Like, there's kids out there, I'm an artist for fun. No, I'm an artist for real. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's fun. You get what I'm saying? And it's fun. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's where your transition is. Like, wow, you've always looked at art as for real. Like, it's been serious to you, So you've been with the business with art. So I think that's a great, way to say it. Like, if you're at a hurdle as an artist, or in any walk of life, you know what I'm saying? Start to think like an executive and make executive decisions that direct your life towards the goals that you're really trying to achieve. I think that's the true essence of what we're saying. Like, once you have that optimism,
philosophy,
that you're practicing those principles and you're investing in that growth and you can witness the growth, you're going to experience the fruits of your labor, and you, in reality, you're the only one that will basically achieve the attention from doing all the effort. So if you don't do it, you're just going to be sitting on the sideline watching somebody else do it. I think, if you have an idea, no idea is wrong, but the ones that tell you to stop, and ones that tell you that you can't do it, those are not the right ideas. But these ideas that you might think, I don't think that'll work. No, it'll work. You are the one that is seeing the solution, and you're looking at it from the perspective of being the solution. So when you act upon what you see and you have a true principle, like you're practicing truth within self, and you got that goal, you got that purpose, you should be able to achieve amazing heights, and exceed where you think you're going, like Mario sat there and exceeded amazing, things. Like, wow, this is great to experience, and anybody out there could do it with their own passion and their own energy and their own effort. So I would suggest anybody just write your idea and just kind of try it, like, don't be afraid of trying, because if it messes up, you just try it. And if it goes crazy, you just try it. And you know what I'm saying? So it's all good, It's
all part of the process. Mario, you've been actually very inspirational, man.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
So I could give you kudos right now, and good job, man. And honestly, from where you came from to what you're doing, so many people are going to look up to you. If they actually get to hear that, which they will, they're going to be like, hey, Mario is the way to go.
Yeah, man, that's inspirational, man. So it's a pleasure, man. On that note, let's kind of conclude the call. Are there any last statements, any questions you guys got for me, any things that you think I should talk to the people about, or I'll give you guys the platform.
Yeah, man. Let me go ahead and just say, when it comes down to motivation or inspiration, that Professional You Handbook is something you need in your catalog of literature. The Professional You Handbook is something that I actually have in my living room, and back next to some of the magazines that I collect, and some of my rare magazines, and I collect a lot of like 40s and 30s magazines. So definitely a resource you want to have. I think this conference call is something that's going to be a pioneer within not just conversation-wise, but as a form of sharing ideas. And the beauty is that you could, just like these bigger corporations, like like cable and internet, are able to stream things. I think being able to maybe not compete, but being able to be at the level that they're playing on by being able to have these calls on demand whenever you want, or TiVo, really sets what ProWorldLife is trying to do. Aside from everybody else, it seems like a well thought idea. I think that people of all levels, even if you don't call yourself an entrepreneur just yet, this definitely benefits you. My intentions coming on to this conversation today was to inspire and add on to the great things that I know that William's going to put to the table. So if you're not already in the network, and if you're listening to this just on the sidelines, speak up, because I think that William is creating a platform where not only is it okay to be creative, but it's actually really conducive to the conversation. So don't feel as if your idea is not as valuable as somebody with a multi-million-dollar corporation, or a self-made entrepreneur. Go ahead and just express them, because I found it wild when I was telling people that I was going to shuttle these things all over the city and not knowing anybody. So definitely I want to thank you so much, Will and Johnny, for listening. I think one of the things that would be amazing to do is just try to promote these conferences a little bit more, or to the ambassadors that come, just let them know, like, yo, man, these conversations last about an hour and a half to 2 hours, but yo, definitely get your time's worth. Because honestly, I came in with open arms, and I really enjoyed it, man. It seemed like a way of releasing not tension, but just energy that I had left over for my day today. I put it in the right use.
Amazing. I love it. Johnny?
Well, my take on it is, like, we could take all types of people, and you know how you were talking about, we went to Newport Beach, and we had a whole new vibe, right? Mm-hmm. And we were looking around all those people, and we're like, this is a whole new environment for us. Mm-hmm. But we were still able to survive and take their vibes, not judge them, but take their information and use it towards us. The same thing with what we're doing right now. Me and you probably are in the same vibe in terms of age, but we're still bringing in him with a whole new vibe. Like, you're so young, and you're already on the same page, like, bringing in all these entrepreneur things, trying to do all these things that most people cannot, they're not even doing to the platform that you're doing. So you're bringing in this whole new society that we need. It's like we're meshing the older and the newer. And that's what we need right now. Like, if we're trying to bring enlightenment to people, we're doing that right now. We're doing the old school and the new school. And we're combining into a whole new platform for people to understand, like, hey, you are able to succeed, doesn't matter if you're older or younger. And that's what we need right now.
Amazing. You know, it's crazy, man. Like I said, you know, like that's the reason why I did it, and you guys kind of fit the bill. So we're just setting the bar and really trying to share this inspiration and all that. So on that note, you know, if you want to hear more, go to, you know, get involved, go to ProWorldLife.com. That's PROWORLD Life, LIFE.com. And send a message, you know, you can contact us there. Weekly, we'll be doing this at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then, just don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to help everybody grow and to help each other grow as a support system. So I thank you, Johnny. I thank you, Mario. And on that note, you guys are
have a good night,
Pro World Life. Peace.
All right, good night.